Hey, welcome back to another episode of SecondHand Sports. I am David D.K. Kim, alongside, as always, Paulo Camacho. And this is episode 4 in our weekly video podcast series, where we talk about sports, but we're the other guys. We have the other opinions, not the canned opinions. Yeah, let's get on with it.
Okay, well...
This should be interesting, by the way, our first topic. By the way, should it be our first topic, or should it be our last topic?
Ooh, see, that's a good question.
People that are going to be watching this video, they're going to be like,
oh, what is it
going
going to be?
Video?
What's it going to be? You know what? Let's save it for our last topic.
I agree, because I feel like at the end of the topic that we're talking about, like the energy might be drained out of talking about the other topics.
Yeah, I actually want to start with that one.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, let's talk about the MLB trade deadline.
That was 2 days ago.
Yes, and well, I don't know.
Actually, exactly 2 days ago.
Yeah, I mean there were some headlines going on.
The non-waiver trade deadline.
Yes, non-waiver trade deadline. Let's get that straight because
I feel like that's really weird for the MLB. Like everybody else, you have a trade deadline. It happens. It passes. And then, all right, you're done. MLB, like, all right, there's a trade deadline. All right, it's passed. All right, now if you can get someone past waivers, you can still trade them for another month. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Baseball is a long season, so you have to do something, I guess.
Yeah, it's just so weird how everybody kind of just pins July 31st as this big thing. Oh, but you can still make trades. Sorry.
Also, yeah, agreed. And before I knew about the waiver, non-waiver trade deadlines, I too was like, no, we didn't get who we. And then I was like, wait, how did they still trade? It's August.
It's weird, but yeah, I'm just gonna hit on a few things. First of all, the Giants not doing anything of note, but I mean, you guys know. I think we've established that I am a San Francisco Giants fan.
And we talked last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, like, if you guys were going to be active on this trade deadline, more than likely, since even you said that you didn't have the prospects to, like, get people, it would be like almost a fire sale if you guys were going to be active.
And that's actually what I was thinking that might happen. But the front office was pretty adamant that that's not what was going to happen.
Even if it was going to happen, like, your 3 untouchable pieces are basically Posey, Bumgarner, and probably Crawford. And those are the 3 that everyone would be like, oh, they're off the table? All right, well, we'll call you back later.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, too, because a lot of people just wanted to get rid of everybody. Get rid of Posey. Get rid of Bumgarner. See if we can get back any good prospects from maybe the Yankees or I don't know who else has a good farm system because God knows that the Giants would never trade with the Dodgers. Like,
I mean, we only need one of those people to really.
You don't. No, just stop. Just stop.
2 lefties in that rotation.
No,
awesome.
no. I think Giants fans would want our GM's head on a stick if they ever traded away.
By the way,
especially to the Dodgers.
I already know how that sort of feels because I saw Rehash suit up for you guys and lead you guys to a playoff series. You know,
that's true.
Anyway, that was a long time ago, 20 years ago almost.
But anyway, I mean. Yeah. Other than that, Johnny Cueto going down for TJ surgery. Tommy John for all of those who don't know the lingo, I guess. But I don't know. It's as much of a bummer as that is. I gotta say.
I mean, you guys got the last couple of good years out of Johnny when you signed him, and that was the dice roll, right? Like he wasn't gonna have surgery when he signed. It was going to be okay. Everyone hopes it's going to be like a Tanaka deal where like it kind of slowly heals.
Yeah, I mean, is it far-fetched to believe that after TJ surgery we still control him for another 2 years after he heals up.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, the fact of the matter is, he could come back in 2020 as an ace again. That's the hope.
Would that be a walk year, or does he have one more year after that?
Let's see. He signed through. Let's see. He got a 6-year deal in 2015, so 2021 would be his last year.
And with that amount of control, if you guys are out of it in 2020 or 2019 or whatever, you could always package Johnny Cueto in a deal with the potential and promise of 2 years after that surgery.
It's true. Yeah, that could happen. Either way, I feel like I feel like there are a lot of Giants fans who are angry at the fact that we kept Cueto after his second year when we could have just, jettisoned him, because now we're paying him $130 million. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, I would rather have Johnny Cueto controlled through the length of his contract, and then doing what we could do, either by trading him or seeing what he has his final 2 years of his contract, than, having to try to go out there again and see if we can get lucky with free agency.
And then there are some Dodger fans out there who are trying to use revisionist history. I'm a Dodger fan, and I hear this, and I laugh when I hear people say, well, thank God we didn't get Johnny Cueto, this could be us. And I'm just like, oh, come on. It's not Jeff Samardzija thing where you're rolling the dice hoping that he's what he was in Chicago and like a little bit in Oakland, but that's Samardzija ended up being who he was.
Yeah,
a 4-point whatever ERA guy, but Johnny Cueto, you put him into any rotation on any given day, he's number one. So
the way I see it, if the Dodgers had gotten Johnny Cueto, you would have gotten an 18-5 guy, 2.2 ERA guy.
What year did you guys get him?
2016. Yeah, like the 2015 offseason. So
yeah, that would have been against the Cubs in the NLCS. That would have been a huge difference. I mean, we would have still probably lost to the Indians, just the way the Indians were playing, but
I mean, it's possible. I mean, yeah. Like, you put Cueto back in 2016 on the Dodgers rotation, that's scary.
Because we still had Greinke and Kershaw at that point.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, I'm just glad that we have Cueto, and we don't have to worry about, looking for another guy, for the next 2 or 3 years. Even though I understand a lot of people are disappointed that he won't be available until at least next July. But, what are you going to do? Them's the breaks. And at this point, the Giants are teetering towards, 500 or maybe the second playoff spot. I'm a pessimist at heart, so I'm not really thinking about that right now. It's just, what can we do with the rest of the season that will garner, youth to moving forward? And I see good things with Rodriguez, and
yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, and honestly, like, as much as people want to see Bumgarner get traded as well, I don't. I feel like he should stick around and then build a rotation around Bumgarner and Rodriguez, and maybe whoever else. Maybe Ty Block comes up.
Holland can be a good number 3 for you guys.
He could be. There's still prospects there, and I know that the lineup is aging, and we're not even hitting for average anymore. Definitely not hitting for power.
On the bright side, though, like, everyone out there that's a Giants fan, I'm sure including my buddy here, Paulo included, you're okay with this, because this is what you signed up for in 2014 or 12. It was one of those 2 years when, you needed the influx of the veterans to get that second and third World Series ring. You had to trade away young guys. And it was one of those things, and I I'm a proponent too, like I said, other than my Lakers, I'm a proponent too. Get rid of the young guys. Get the proven guys. Get it now. Get the ring now. Get the championship now. And then worry about what you're worrying about 4 years later after the third ring in 5 years, whatever it was?
Yeah. I mean, I really can't go, like, as a Giants fan, I can't complain.
Before that, it was 60 years. 5 years or 4 years? 60 years. I don't know. I'd rather have the 3 titles in 10 years at that point.
Exactly.
You know?
That's coming from a Dodgers fan who hasn't seen a title since
I was 10.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm lucky that I was born when I was born because I was 10 and remember it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like, speaking of which, they got Dozier at the deadline.
There you go.
After getting Manny after the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
And they apparently got Axford. I don't remember his first name, but he used to be a closer for the Brewers, and I think he played for the Nationals for a little bit.
Yes.
But he's like mid to almost late 30s now.
I mean, the as much as I hate to admit it, the Dodgers lineup is really, meshing out to be somewhat scary. In the postseason.
I love that, and it's awesome. I'm just hoping that at some point this August, as people clear through waivers and or they see someone on waivers that they can claim themselves and work on a deal. I'm hoping that maybe a couple of relievers, come this way via trade. A type of pitcher like maybe a Cingrani and a Watson like we got last year. But otherwise, Stripling's on the DL right now. Ryu's still on the DL. Maeda's kind of tapering off from the beginning. Buehler's finally kind of coming back from his fractured rib area. Mm-hmm. Kershaw seems to be more rejuvenated. I don't know if I said this the first time we were here about baseball, but my belief with the 10-day DL has always been, especially this year, that Kershaw hasn't been really hurt. They've just been kind of resting him for the first half of the year to save him for the back half, and that sounds crazy.
Man, that's crazy.
And
it's crazy optimistic.
And no one would do that, but it's only because Kershaw's track record of injuries did not line up with the injuries that he has sustained this year. Bicep strain, hamstring, things that have never flared up ever, even when he was dealing with his back, without telling anybody.
Right.
And in which case, those things would flare up because, if you're compensating for your back, it happens. But anyway, that's a whole conspiracy theory besides the point. But I don't know. They might need more pitching. So hopefully, with the addition of Dozier and Machado in that lineup and Turner coming back from injury soon, if they don't get help, maybe they can win a bunch of 8-5 games, maybe 9-6 games. Hopefully not, but maybe come back from 4-0 and win 6-4, things like that.
It would be much better if they could, sort out their pitching rotation.
I know, and here's the thing:
win games 3-0.
Exactly, and 1-0 and things like that. And I know there's any Dodger fans out there that are calm down. I know when everybody comes back from injury and Urias and everyone comes back from he's a couple months away from coming back and he's not getting called up. You move Maeda to the bullpen and stuff like that for the playoffs. The bullpen kind of remorphs itself late in the year and in the playoffs. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But we're going to need an 8th inning guy no matter what. And I know Zahir Fahidi, I never say his last name.
It's okay. Dodgers fans will know who he's talking about.
Yeah. I know he said that we're more of a matchup team than, strictly an 8th inning guy. But, of course you're going to say that. Because you don't have an 8th inning guy.
Yeah.
And so what else are you going to say other than that because that's what you're doing? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I hope it's okay.
Well,
yeah. Last year they had all the pitching in the world. They lost 1 game away from winning. So maybe this year the offensive slugfest will help.
Right.
But speaking of which, there's a team that didn't really do anything in the trade deadline when everyone thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the New York Mets.
Yes, the
Metropolitans.
The lowly New York Mets, who are pretty much out of it right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty much out of it. And it's crazy because they started off like 14-1 or 15-1 or something like that. And now they're, basically out of it.
They are currently 44-61
as of 14 games out.
The recording of this podcast, and
they're just better than the Padres.
Right. It's not good, guys. They're obviously they're on pace for the worst one of the worst records in the league.
Well, thankfully there's an American League with the likes of the Orioles, the White Sox, and the Royals.
True.
Who, wow, haven't even broken 40 wins.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But anyway, I mean, the Mets are in a position to be sellers. And considering they have a great pitching rotation, headed by Noah Syndergaard, Jared DeGrom.
I believe Steven Matz, Wheeler's out there. Lugo, who's a long reliever, can start. I think Gesselman can also start, given a pinch.
They have all of these assets in the pitching staff. They did not sell one player. They kept them all with some basically weird hope that they'll bounce back for next year.
I think they traded Asdrubal Cabrera. That's what they did.
Is that all they did?
That's all they did.
Yeah.
So they traded away one of their premier offensive weapons, but didn't trade any of their pitching, which would have brought back a huge haul. Even Zach Wheeler would have brought back a huge haul.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing. I believe ESPN gave them an F at the deadline for
effort.
Yeah, exactly. For not trading away any of their aces, because they would have gotten back big for those guys.
I mean, even if you said, all right, Thor is younger, we're going to keep him, the other three are on the market, let's rebuild our pitching staff around Thor, let's rebuild our offense around Conforto and Nemo?
I think that's yeah.
Nemino?
Something like that.
I'm not a Mets fan, I don't know.
Me neither.
You know what I'm saying. I just keep thinking of Finding Nemo. But that's besides the point. But you could do that, but they didn't even really do that. That's right. They traded Familia for a 28-year-old AA outfielder or something like that.
That's true. Yeah, they had a lot of options.
Nemo.
Yeah, it is Nemo. They had a lot of options.
Anyway, they have a lot of options. They're very young. They could have traded away Jose Batista, Jay Bruce,
their outfielders
Todd Frazier. maybe entice them with a Wilmer Flores. But look at this pitching. They have Zach Wheeler, Jason Vargas, Noah Syndergaard. They got DeGrom, like I said, Gesselman, Steven Matz. It's just they have a wealth of pitching. They have a wealth of outfielders. They could have easily turned around 4 or 5 guys and got back a huge, like the Baltimore. Case in point, like the Baltimore Orioles.
Right.
The only reason Adam Jones is still in Baltimore is because he vetoed the trade. He was going to get traded to Philadelphia, and he's like, no, my family right now, the situation, then he's staying in Baltimore.
Right.
And that's commendable, but if you're the Mets, you got to be like Baltimore.
I mean, honestly, you could have went to either the Red Sox or the Yankees, or even pit those two teams against each other. Hey, we got Steven Matz, we got Noah Syndergaard, we got DeGrom, and we're willing to sell any one of those guys for your best offer. You don't think a bidding war would have started between those two teams? Or even the Houston Astros?
Forget those 3 teams. I would have begged the Dodgers to give up their whole freaking AA, AAA system just to get the DeGrom and Syndergaard just over to LA for some pitching.
Of course you would have.
Yeah, and then we can bump back Alex Wood to the bullpen, and and Rich Hill can be our 5th starter. You see how good that sounds? Forget the future. I want a World Series now.
Oh, it's a pipe dream.
World Series.
Come on, stop.
Not the Lakers though.
Stop
Keep
it.
the young people. Keep the young people.
It's a different sport. You don't have to. Talk
Hey,
about
Niners, trade for Julio Jones. Give up whoever you need to give up.
No, stop it! Stop it! We talked about this already.
Lakers don't do anything.
No, but seriously, Mets, what are you doing? Honestly, I'm asking you, what are you doing?
Trade Jose Reyes, someone. I'm pretty sure I don't want.
Just, get your stuff together, guys, and think about your future because you don't have one right now. It's not going to be surrounded by 2 aging aces that has nothing else around them. So I mean, talk amongst yourselves in the off season and see if you can make a deal.
And I mean, the other side of the coin to that too is baseball is such that if the Mets have a good off season, maybe sign a free agent or two, or one of the rookies develop next year, and then Syndergaard is healthy, and then DeGrom has another season like this year, and the offense hits again, they could be right back up top of the NL East like they were a couple of years ago. And that's the thing. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like they have, they're like the New York Knicks, but they have young talent, enough young talent, where the old crappy talent is kind of negated if everything falls right. Whereas like the Knicks, if Porzingis' knee blows up, then that's game over. You win like 10 games.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what happened, but.
Well, all right.
Anyway, speaking of that, now that the deadline's gone, I know the waiver deadline's still here, but that's a little more complicated, so it's not so much of a free for all.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite in the? We'll start with the AL, since we're both NL guys.
Yeah, the AL is. I
think
think
the Yankees and the Red Sox try to outbuy each other.
Right. I mean, I feel like it's supposed to be a 2-team race between the Red Sox and the Astros. I feel like. I mean, obviously the Indians are in that race as well, but if it were me, I'd say I'm for whatever reason I'm still going with the Astros. I know that Boston is stacked on their roster, but isn't Chris Sale out for a little while?
On the DL, inflammation in his shoulder, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good sign going into the home stretch, going into the dog days. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
And you can't count out the Yankees, obviously, but I don't know. I feel like the Astros have been there before. Like, stands to reason they could get there again.
So you're going with the Astros?
I'll go with the Astros.
And I would love to be that guy on the internet that's like, I'm gonna the hill I'm dying on is the Indians, and that's it. And when I'm right, come see. But just that 27-27 on the road, and I know the run differential is the only positive in the Central, and they are in a very unique situation in that they got Simbers and Hand, the 2 relievers from San Diego. And other than that, they got Marlon Byrd, and I think that was it.
Right.
But unlike every other team in baseball that was heading into the trade deadline looking to improve their team, and the Indians were, but they weren't worried about winning the division. They're trying to build their team so they can get past the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Astros, potentially the Mariners or the A's, or any of those teams in the playoffs. So instead of doing, what everyone else did, where it was oh, I need to trade the farm and get me a headline guy, the Indians were well, Andrew Miller will soon be back. Let's just get 2 more guys that can be like him, and we'll make it a 5-inning game. And Corey Kluber can go 8 to 9 innings one game, and Bauer can go 7 to 8 innings another game, and our bullpen safe for 2 days. And now we can just pitch the lights out from inning number 5. And in a short series, where you got to beat, Bauer and, Kluber twice.
Yeah.
You gotta beat one of them at least twice. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You gotta beat one of them at least twice. And potentially, if it's Kluber, you might have to beat him a third time. It's not...
I mean, it's not necessarily you gotta beat Kluber. I mean, like...
But you know what I mean? He's the guy that they're gonna be leaning on in those 1-4-7 if that's a series,
Right.
But that's their luxury. They don't gotta worry about, maybe the Twins gotta worry about a little bit, but, 10 games up, they don't gotta worry about them catching them, really.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta make sure they gotta position themselves as the second best team in the American League to get the home field advantage.
That's not
in
happening.
the divisional. It's not, but they got that. That's what they got to position themselves. How far back are they?
Oh, I think it was 69 and 31.
So 10. Well, that's 10 games back of second, basically, in the AL.
Yeah.
Seattle still got to play Houston a bunch of times. The A's got to play Houston a bunch of times. So Cleveland, as long as they can take care of business in the division, I feel like they'll make it close to the end.
Okay.
I feel like number one seed's gonna come out of the AL East, no matter what. Even I know the Yankees are one game behind Houston right now, but I don't know. Houston just needs to get healthy in a hurry, I believe.
Okay, so let's move on to the NL.
I'm sorry. I pick Boston this time.
Oh yes,
Sorry, Boston's favorite. My bad.
Okay.
In the NL, I believe the Cubs are the favorite based on their win total, and they got Hamels and the pieces, the reliever from the Washington Nationals. Basically, they got the two pieces in pitching that I wish that Dodgers got. Not necessarily maybe Hamels and the guy from Washington, Knizler or whatever, but I'm doing a really good job with names. But hey, all these names have freaking Z's and K's in them. I don't know. Anyway,
apparently that just goes over his head. Those Z's and K's.
Kaiser, man. Oh, well, there it is. Knizler. See, it's the same thing. Anyway, but they did what I wanted the Dodgers to do. I wanted Dodgers to get one more starter, get a legitimate guy to pitch the 7th or the 8th or both, and just be happy with the offense. Now, I'm not complaining because Machado and Dozier, there are no equivalents to instead of, but it's a good instead of, consolation prize,
right.
I guess.
So so I'm just gonna talk this out. It's pretty close, right? I think a lot of people think that now that the Cubs have Hamels, they have all of their pieces there. Cubs are the definitive favorite in the NL. I feel like, even though it's pretty close. I could go with the Phillies, even though I'm not. I haven't watched them play too much. They're I feel like they're one of those, wild card teams. Not necessarily wild card, but those kinds of teams that could just crash the party and then make things difficult for everybody in the playoffs.
They took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers earlier this week.
It's true. The Diamondbacks, they're also always scary. As long as they have their hitters, man, I'm telling you, they're a good team to count on, I guess, at least going into the DS. But I'm going to say this, and don't get me wrong, this is for selfish reasons, and the selfish reason is I want them to go down in a blaze of glory. And I want it to be because I picked them. I want to have.
Who knows?
I want to throw so much bad mojo with them.
Maybe that's why I picked the Cubs.
I think the Dodgers might repeat as NL champions.
I hope so.
I know he hopes so. I think they can because of the guys that they got, especially getting Machado and then just getting hot towards the end of the season. Also getting back, Kershaw and all those guys. But I'm at the end of the day, I pray that I'm wrong, and I feel like I'm jinxing them right now. I declare that the Los Angeles Dodgers will win the NL once again. And we'll fast forward to 2 months later. Sorry, dude, they lost in the NLD.
Right.
Actually, they didn't even make the playoffs.
That would be horrible. That would be horrible.
Yeah.
But for all the Dodger fans also out there saying that if we do make the World Series, that they want to see anyone besides the Astros, you're looking at it the wrong way. You're looking at it the wrong way. Because you want to see the Astros. That's the most satisfying way to get the ring. You know what I mean? When you can exercise the demons. When you can exercise demons, and beat a Houston team that, I'll say it, the Dodgers gave away Game 2, gave away Game 5, like they didn't even need a Game 7. Anyway, you just...
But, if they beat a Red Sox team that wins
awesome.
100,
yeah, 110, that'd be awesome. That'd be great. That'd be great. I'd love it. Beat the Yankees, Dodgers Yankees, that'd be great. Relive Dodgers A's.
If it's Dodgers Yankees, I don't think I'll even watch the World Series in October.
I wanted it last year to be that way. Last year, and it isn't because I hate Houston. I really wanted Dodgers Yankees in the World Series because I knew that either people would just not watch the World Series at all, or have to root for the Dodgers. Because if you didn't root for the Dodgers, it meant one thing. You're rooting for the Yankees. No one wants that.
See, the only reason I would want to root for the Yankees is if they were going against the Dodgers. That's it. It's the only reason.
But that makes you a bad person.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
That's
not true at all.
That you're supporting the only team to be ever known as the evil empire. So what you're saying is, you're part of the empire, and not the resistance.
Hey, speaking of empires, the 49er empire is going through their training camp right now. Hey, I'm getting really good at these transitions, right? And there's one guy in particular that I actually want to talk about because, he's that guy that came over from our hated rival Seattle. And his name is Richard Sherman, a.k.a. Former public enemy number 1, who's now playing for us. And I think...
public enemy. I always laugh when I hear public enemy number 1.
I know, right?
Because Emmett Smith, Michael Irvin,
exactly.
Troy Aikman, Jimmy
right.
Johnson, and the boys, the Cowboys, man, they were public enemy number 1.
Yeah, that was true.
But
anyway, there were so many people who hated Richard Sherman.
Oh, no. He deserves the tag.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, I followed the Niners long enough to, that and the Rams with Eric Dickerson and Jim Everett.
Yeah.
Flipper Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Richard Sherman coming off of an Achilles injury. Everybody knows that. And he signed, what was it, a 2-year, 3-year deal?
It was all incentive-based, right?
All incentive-based. Because he wanted to prove that he was back. And for the most part, I feel like it looks like he is.
Not on the PUP list, starts on the roster. That's a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did all he could to prove to his fan base, to the Niners fan base, that he's back. Maybe not back to his prime form, but I mean, when you're 30? When you're 30? I think he's 30 now, right? 31.
Yeah. Also, I
mean, you can't really expect too much of his prime.
But I mean, it wasn't like Richard Sherman prime was like a Patrick Peterson or like a Deion Sanders, where you could put him on an island. And that was just it. That side of the field, you just didn't throw anymore.
Yeah, there's no such thing as Sherman Island.
No.
But
God, I hate Revis Island so bad. Anyway.
But I mean, at the same time, Sherman was a great cornerback, especially for that system.
That's all I was just trying to say. That's all I meant.
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't...
that now there's been this video going around. Sherman was covering Marquise Goodwin, our fastest receiver.
I think we glossed over this last week.
I think we did.
We'll go into a little more detail today.
And I mean, Sherman gets. You watch the tape. Sherman gets burned, and it's not even close. Peace grabs the ball, Bloom, and everybody started going in on this guy.
Now, for context, I know, everyone hates context.
Oh God, context! Who wants to hear context?
Because context takes away the salacious, and it gives a little more substance. Now, for context, it was, presumably, or so I hear, the very first play of one-on-ones of the day. They have not yet cleared everyone for contact yet at the line, so it's a clean and free release, and it's right at the line. There's no cushion, and Richard Sherman is in his 30s, coming off an Achilles, and Marquise Goodwin is our fastest player on the roster.
He's a track star.
He's the fastest player.
Don't forget that. He's a track guy.
He's the fastest guy on our roster. So that's the context.
Oh, here's more context.
No contact, free release, track star.
Oh, here's a little more context. Jimmy Garoppolo was throwing that ball, and everyone agrees that throw to Marquise was perfect. And honestly, when you think about it like that, like you take all of those things into consideration, how about we lay off for Richard Sherman and maybe back off on the whole, oh, he's a waste of time, he shouldn't be on this roster. I don't understand why we got him in the first place. You know why we got him in the first place? Because we don't have much of a secondary to begin with. Like, we got some guys with flashes, right? We got some young guys. Jimmy Ward completely excluded.
I love it when you get riled up. But I love it when you get riled up.
And look, I mean, Ahkello Witherspoon looks like a great player. The fact is, we needed Richard Sherman for this system because God knows that Richard Sherman brings more to the table than just his physical attributes, more than just even his knowledge as a Seattle Seahawk. It was everything. His experience, like what he can show the young guys.
Well, even more than that, like when coach is yelling at you all day on Monday, and all day on Tuesday, and all day on Wednesday about this, that, and the other. By Thursday, even the good ones, they're just like, whatever, coach, I know. But if the same message comes from a peer, a respected peer, a veteran in the locker room, that you know, that you respect, and what he says is almost sage advice, you receive it differently. Maybe you process it differently. Maybe it works that way. And that's a very important piece to that locker room, to the culture, to potentially winning 8, 9, 10, 12 games and things like that, But he's like and I know, I'm a Dodger fan, but it's like Chase Utley in the Dodgers locker room.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And he's not saying he was trying this year, thank you, Chase. But he's just a different set of eyes on that bench, and he mentors guys like Corey Seager and Chris Taylor, and I'm sure Turner Ward, is thankful that he has someone like that in the clubhouse that can say for the 8th time after Turner Ward 7, hey, your hands are doing this. But it's coming from Chase Utley, so you're a little bit more attentive, let me take this advice and glean from it. Same thing with Richard Sherman. Same thing with someone like, I don't know, Patrick Peterson, I guess now. I can't believe he's in the league so long that he's at that point. And he's still rather elite at the cornerback position for Arizona, but it's the same thing. You need those guys to not have your young guys, crap the bed when it comes to game time or crunch time.
Yeah, I mean it's as simple as this, right? Don't knock the player for one play that he's totally unaccustomed to on basically one of the first times out there on one-on-ones, and then just make a snap judgment of, I don't know why we got this guy.
I have one scenario where that is okay.
Okay.
If the guy is being a jackass before he signs the team, talking about how he can stop this and that, and all the young guys are trash, and they're lucky to have someone like me, and then the very first play he gets burned, yeah, go ahead. Let's all roast the dude on the internet. You know what I mean? But Richard Sherman didn't do any of that.
Richard Sherman did not do any of that. Richard Sherman is actually being a consummate veteran on this team.
I mean, he will be doing that in a couple weeks, but he didn't. He didn't do that.
But you know what?
Coming in,
as long as it's not in the blue and neon green of Seattle, we're perfectly fine with that. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
I have to cheer for Jeff Kent's Dodger. I feel like I'm okay with this at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like.
Although, hey, I don't know if I've ever told you about Jeff Kent's story. I'll probably never tell my Jeff Kent story on air. I mean, maybe if the Dodgers win the World Series, I will tell my Jeff Kent story in one of the episodes. But it's a crazy, funny Jeff Kent story because it was very. I got him. But that you know with my whatever I yelled.
Oh, okay.
But it was a little bit too much, and even I recognized that it was a little bit too much. So it was one of those kind of stories. Ended well, but one of those. Like I said, we're not quite popular enough to have enough rope to tell that kind of story.
Right, of course. So you know, I mean, we'll see if Richard Sherman will get back to that status as one of the greats, you know, one of the greats at cornerback. Because let's face it, he was one of the greats when he played against the 49ers.
Because he's going to help also in that film study, where it's like, hey, what do you see here? It's like, oh, if you would have done this and that and the other.
And speaking of greats, you know, here's another great that was talking this week.
This is going to be an interesting conversation.
Yes, it will. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was quoted earlier this week.
The GO.A.T of college.
Definitely the GO.A.T college.
So we'll just start with that. We'll just start there as this is happening.
Lou Alcindor, for all of you, you kids that didn't know that he had another
While he was still Lou Alcindor.
Right.
Back in a time where you couldn't play varsity as a freshman.
Exactly. But you know, he basically weighed in on the whole LeBron-Jordan debate. You know how it goes. Everybody's been talking about LeBron James, you know, for the past, I'd say,
15, 20, 30 years?
Basically his whole career.
Since he was like 13.
And they've been dying to get enough, to have him have enough of a resume, right? What are we looking at?
That was just the potential free agents 2019.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
God, where was I? Oh, yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I'm working here. No,
sorry.
You know what? Kareem basically wanted to essentially end the whole debate on who is the greatest of all time. Because, you know, we always have to have these kinds of debates. Like every year, after every game in the playoffs or what have you, is LeBron the greatest of all time? Is he the GOAT?
And I agree with Kareem in this aspect.
Wait, I didn't even say what he said.
Oh, sorry.
Didn't even say what he said.
I thought you already did.
Well, here's what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said. He says, there's no such thing as the GOAT. He says, you know, you can say that Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. And you probably, I mean, you could be right.
An argument.
But the point is, there's no such thing as a GOAT, according to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. To him, you're basically comparing different scenarios, different careers, different eras, positions, rules,
etc., etc., etc.,
etc., etc. So, as far as he's concerned, the GOAT doesn't exist. So, how about we just stop talking about it?
So I agree up to a certain point with Kareem.
Okay.
So, to little context, I think Kareem is dead on in that. Why is it that when we talk about basketball greats, unlike any other sport, there has to be the greatest of all time? Like, he's the best all time. All time. No one's better than him as a basketball player. Greatest. Well, we don't do that in any other sport, if you think about it. In football, You argue Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time.
Oh no, I don't know about that.
Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, greatest running back of all time. Jerry Rice, greatest receiver of all time. LT, greatest linebacker of all time. But they all get their due. They all get their due. You don't say Tom Brady's the greatest football player of all time.
I think a lot of people do.
Well, but what they mean is quarterback, though.
Do you really think so?
I honestly believe they mean quarterback because otherwise Emmitt Smith lovers would be up in arms when we talk about Tom Brady versus being the greatest of all time. Who are the only fans that come after Tom Brady's greatest of all time fans? Joe, right?
Yeah.
But they're quarterbacks. How come Emmitt's fans don't come at him? Jim Brown, Jerry Rice. But instead, what's the debate when it comes to Jerry Rice? Is Randy Moss better than Jerry Rice?
No.
Because Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver of all time. Right? And that's almost recognized, right? The only debate in history right now is probably running back and quarterback.
Okay.
And so, but it's always been separated that way. In baseball, it's very unique. If you take away Babe Ruth, you don't consider Barry Bonds the greatest baseball player of all time. He's the greatest hitter of all time. Whereas you would say either Warren Spahn or Randy Johnson or Roger Clemens, if he wasn't, would be considered the greatest pitcher of all time. Where that's weird is because Babe Ruth did well on both. He's just recognized as the greatest baseball player of all time, and there's not really much of a debate on that. It's just when it comes to the hitting part or the pitching part that can be.
Okay.
And we still engage in that debate as well, because we don't really talk about, because it's very rare that someone did well for a whole career in both. But in basketball, we don't say, I guess hockey would be the only sport where one player is considered the greatest of all time, Wayne Gretzky, because they can play both ways and they're kind of different from goalies, but still better.
But see, that's the thing, right? But that'd be position player versus goalie.
But exactly. So, but that's only because Wayne laps the field in, his assists score more points than the next goal scorer. So, that's like a Babe Ruth almost argument where, he's just ridiculous. But in basketball, Kareem's the greatest center of all time. Michael's probably the best two guard of all time. Magic's probably the greatest point guard of all time. LeBron, probably the greatest three of all time. The greatest power forward of all time is probably Tim Duncan or Karl Malone. Shaq's up there, close to. But why is it that Michael is greatest of all time? He couldn't be. He couldn't go into the middle against Kareem and dunk on him. In those Showtime Laker days. Not because he couldn't, but because he got beat up all the way in there, and by the time he got to the middle, Kareem was there. He was the captain. He played for 20-something years.
Well, see,
I'm just saying,
No, okay. Let me stop you there because when you're talking about he couldn't do that. Actually, you can make the argument that he could.
He could.
And I'll tell you why. Because in his early days before he started winning championships,
he dropped a really amount of points, right?
No, it's not even that. Who did he go up against? He went up against the bad boy Pistons, who beat him up physically
in the playoffs
constantly,
and doing it constantly created the mental toughness that Jordan had going forward to win those championships.
To the point where he didn't care who was in front of him. It could have been Karl Malone, it could have been John Stockton, it could have been Kareem himself. It could have been Shaq for all he cared, and he would be fearless going to the hole. Because that's the way he was built.
And Kareem made the game change the rules. Widen the lane, no dunking for a while. He went undefeated in high school, won three national championships because you couldn't play as a freshman. He basically won as a Milwaukee Buck. He won as a Laker, 5 more championships, whatever it was, all-time leading scorer.
Right.
So that sounds like the greatest of all time.
And again, it goes...
But you can't compare him to Michael, right?
Well, you can't. You can't.
You can't compare Shaq to Michael. Different body types, different kind of game. Can you compare Magic to Michael? Almost, but not really.
I don't know. I think people just in terms of
for argument's sake, Michael didn't get past Larry or Isaiah or Magic till they all got old. Fight me. Because I'm not wrong.
Uh-oh.
I'm not wrong. Fight me. before that, Larry and Magic had 10 championships basically combined.
Right, but
Dominated an era plus.
Yeah.
Just like Michael.
Right.
Changed the game, just like Michael. But Michael's a little bit more Michael, right? We remember the highlights.
He's Air Jordan.
He's Air Jordan, right? Because 3-point contests don't win you the GOAT argument. Because assists don't win you the GOAT argument. You know, dunking on Patrick Ewing wins you the GOAT argument. You know, making those, switching of the hands against the Lakers.
Being the best player on the best team for 6 out of 8 years makes you the GOAT. I mean, like...
Okay, then we can also say that Magic and Larry were the GOAT. Because they were the 2 best players in a 12-year era. Right?
If one dominated over the other throughout that entire... Look...
No. I'm being devil's advocate right now.
So am I!
But why?
What do you mean?
2 greatest of all time. Right? 2 greatest in a generation. I'll take greatest of the generation. That's a better... I feel like that's a better term for if you want to say basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But, like... I agree with Kareem in that there should be a greatest 5 of all time. The greatest starting 5 of all time. Then we can debate who the captain can be. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But, like... You're telling me that you got one choice, and just because you can pick LeBron, you're not going to pick, you know, a Magic Johnson that's still playing, a Michael Jordan. I'm just saying.
Here's what I'll say to this: when you're talking about Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird, just in a vacuum, right? Like, and they went up against each other a lot in the '80s.
Yeah. So if one doesn't exist, the other has 7, 8, 9 titles.
Right. But see, that's where I go back to, if one dominated the other, then you can make an argument that either one of those two, whoever dominated the other, is the greatest of all time. Because then you're going up against all these great teams, and then one of them is just that much more dominant.
Okay.
Wouldn't you agree?
Okay, yes, right?
If Larry Bird's Celtics in the 80s won 7 championships.
In those, say, 5 titles that they share with Magic, right, or whatever it is, who did he dominate in the East to get to those championship games? Isaiah. I believe Michael Jordan and the Bulls, who could never get to anywhere because the Celtics and Larry existed. The bad boys exist. You see where that argument to me doesn't hold muster, because like Larry had to beat down Michael until Michael could figure out how to get past him. And that ended up being Larry's old with a bad back. Once again, fight me. Right? Like that's not true. But it is, because I watched it. I'm old enough, trust me. Like, sure, Michael's considered the GOAT if you're just in that scope of generation that watched Michael and grew up from there. But
again, while I see your point, and I'm not saying I disagree with it, here's the devil's advocate in me. Like, you could say that, they're the greatest of their era, but looking at these guys in a vacuum.
Okay.
Let's look at these guys in a vacuum. How good was Magic's best, Larry's best, Kareem's best, Bill Russell's best, versus Jordan's best?
All right, well, Magic's best was as a 20-year-old rookie playing 5 positions and scoring 42, 15, 11, 6, and 1 against the Sixers in a clinching NBA championship game when the captain, the great Kareem, had a migraine and couldn't play. Mm-hmm. That's his best.
Okay.
As a rookie. And then he got 4 more championships after that. Michael's best, he got 6 titles, right? That's great. But, he beat Patrick Ewing, and I know they're great teams and all, right? But, come on. Michael's contemporaries had to retire. His GOAT contemporaries had to retire before he dominated the league, because he was better than everyone. Because all the people that were on his level got too old and retired.
Okay.
Right? I mean, am I wrong on that?
No.
So, to me, it's unfair. I mean, we can call Mike the GOAT, whatever. I don't even think that's even the issue anymore.
Right.
I just think it's insulting that basketball, of all the sports, where there's 5 guys on the court and like everyone has their role to play, and there's a top 50 all time, greatest whatever, all NBA teams are picked by every position gets whatever. In that kind of league, I think it's very disingenuous to argue that the GOAT has to be this one player who is, this one player that's better than everybody because he is just that much better. I believe we've seen that every generation has a GOAT. That's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, George Mikan in the 50s when the Minneapolis Lakers dominated and they won 3 championships in 4 years. He's the best big man, dominated, MVP. Like, he was the GOAT for a while. It's very subjective is what I'm saying. So, like, I feel like instead of saying who's the greatest of all time, number 1 only, we should have who's the starting 5, right? Who would you want as your starting 5? And then we can, like I said, decide who the captain is later. But, like, it's very disingenuous in the game of basketball to be like, he's the GOAT. Because unlike Wayne Gretzky in hockey, Michael Jordan is not head and shoulders statistically above anyone. He's only head and shoulders theoretically if you discount Bill Russell's 8 and Robert Ory having 6 and all of that other fluff as they call it. Well, they hang on the 6 and 0. And it's great. That's what you do, right? But is Yogi Berra the greatest baseball player of all time?
No. He
has the most rings. He's undefeated in the World Series, I think. Maybe he lost once or whatever, but he's been there so many times, and he has 8, 9, whatever rings it is. Isn't he the greatest? No, that's ridiculous, right? Like, so I mean, it's just 6 and 0. I know that Michael Jordan has done other things that put him in that upper tier conversation as the GOAT. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that finally someone said it. And it's someone within the GOAT conversation category himself. And those are the only people that can say it. That's why only Kobe can talk about it, or LeBron, or like Kareem, or when other people that aren't in that ilk talk about it, you're just gonna go, what are you even talking about? Like, shut up, like, you're not even in the conversation, like, I'm just saying.
But see, again, I mean, like, riffing off of that point, some people are just saying, well, of course Kareem's going to say that because he's not considered the greatest of all time, so why not just delegitimize the whole conversation altogether?
Fair enough. Why isn't Kareem considered the greatest of all time? It's been too long. But like, let's say 30 years from now, right? Heaven forbid that no one's gone 6 and 0 and stuff like that, but let's say 30, 40 years from now, right? Some young man comes into the league, 20-something years old, 6'9", 6'10", point guard, hits threes, vision is incredible, can dunk on fools, triple-double all day. 7-0 in the NBA Finals. Just because that's how the league's set up at this point.
And he carried his team to all of them.
He carried his team to all of them, never went to a Game 7. Now what? He just becomes the next Michael until another person accidentally that happens to again, like the forces of nature combine and like. I
don't appreciate that accidentally.
Okay, sorry. You work hard. No. Championships are accidents, not the greatness. Sorry, the greatness. Dominique was great. The greatest is always there. But to go 6 and 0, never get to a Game 7, depends on a lot more than Michael Jordan being Michael Jordan.
See, that's the point I wanted you to clear up because it's like. That's true. Everybody pins Michael Jordan as the GOAT because of those stats. But you're right. At the end of the day, those things are technically accidents.
Because on another, come fight me moment, like the first championship against the aging Lakers, when Magic had his triple-double in Game 1 and they stole Game 1, how did they win the series? They said, Michael, you can't guard Magic. Scotty, you got to go and guard him. Shut down Magic, And the rest is
Jordan go.
Yeah, and then the rest is history. Right? You conserve your energy to do your thing. You know, so I mean, like, let's not pretend that like this GOAT discussion is like, you know, like, oh no, that you're discredited. You know, like, I'm saying basketball is so, you know, he wasn't the GOAT with Doug Collins.
No, he wasn't.
Twice.
Look, you're actually making a really good point here. Like, the fact is, no, I kept saying, like, all right, put these players in a vacuum. The fact of the matter is, you can't put players in a vacuum. You can't just say that, you know, Michael Jordan or Kareem or Magic or Bird in a vacuum would shine as the greatest of all time. It's just like saying, well, you know, Joe Montana is the greatest of all time because, you know, he won 4 Super Bowls and didn't lose in a Super Bowl that he took the Niners to. Same thing with Tom Brady. No matter how many Super Bowls he wins, well, you know, he won X amount of Super Bowls, so he's the greatest of all time. You can't do that because it's not about just those guys. It's not about just those individuals in a vacuum. It's always about the contextual situations that every player finds themselves in. Whether it's George Mikan winning 3 titles in the 60s, whether it's Bill Russell winning 8 titles with the Celtics.
In like even 10 years.
Even though it was
like 6 teams in the league or something like that.
Yeah, there weren't that many teams in the league. Like, we're talking a small NBA.
And the Celtics had all the good players.
Yeah, exactly.
Super team much.
And you can't even say that Magic Johnson or Larry Bird or even Michael Jordan are in a vacuum the greatest of all time because, you know, they look at the competition that they went up against. It's the same argument you'll see in any other sport, but we don't use those arguments. Why? Because the narrative that we've put together as a sports media conglomerate has always been, in basketball, in pro basketball, there has to be a GOAT.
And I understand why. And like, here's what I understand about why. Because I feel like in basketball, you know, with the dunks and the 3-point shot and how you can change the game with just one defensive stop and a transition bucket the other way, one person does indeed make a difference on a 12 to 14 man roster. It does. It just does. You know, when you're a bad Spurs team and you draft Tim Duncan, that adds 30 wins automatically. If you're Orlando and you get Shaq, that adds like 20, 30 wins automatically. If you're a bad Laker team with 35 wins and you have LeBron, it's going to add 15, 20 wins. Just automatic. That's just how it works in the NBA. So I get it. I get it. The need to have the GOAT. But, like I said, I think what we really need is the 6 greatest of all times, where it's like the 5 positions and then the one guy that guy as your quote unquote 6th man. Mm-hmm. And then the debate should be, who's your captain? Say that. I feel like that would be a more spirited, intellectually stimulating debate that wouldn't be stuck in a whole bunch of lost nuance about whether or not.
And you wouldn't be closed-minded about it.
I mean, maybe you would, but it'd be in a basketball way. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like, oh, Kobe's better than LeBron because LeBron sucks. Like, that's not an argument.
That's never an argument.
Yeah, no, it's not. Really, it's not. That never argument. I wish it was. I wish LeBron could have done the thing and sealed the deal and beat the Magic that year, and we could have seen for real. But anyway, thanks for that title though. Because we probably couldn't have. Probably couldn't have beat them anyway, right?
Whatever.
That's what you want to hear, right? Oh, we probably couldn't have beat them anyway. LeBron, King James. But anyway, I hope he does well in LA. But I agree. Like I said, I agree with Kareem.
Okay, so having said all that,
mm-hmm.
who's in your top 6? Who's in that starting 5 plus your backup.
My starting five would be Magic at the point. I'd have Michael at the 2, LeBron at the 3. And I made my own rules, so like I have to pick a power forward. With the team I have on the court, I would put Moses Malone or Tim Duncan. Let me see. Tim Duncan at the 4, and then my center, just because of the way that team is constructed, I'd have to put Kareem at the center. And then my 6th guy coming off the bench per se, would be, that's hard. Wow.
It's a lot of dead air.
I know. I see the
all right, you think about that.
Yeah,
I'll try to go into
5.
All right, let's go with my 5. 1's got to be Magic. It has to be. 2's got to be Jordan, because it has to be. You put those two together, it's ridiculous. 3, I'm putting LeBron there. I'm putting LeBron at 3. Like I understand that there's so many arguments about how soft he is and blah blah blah. But look at the dude's everything. Whatever.
He would just need to come off screens.
Yeah, pretty much. The 4 would be, oh God, big fundamental. I'll go with Tim Duncan at the 4. At the 5, this one's really tough. There's no, I don't think anybody's dominated the league more than Shaq. I have to go with Shaq. Because who's gonna box that dude out?
He was my other guy besides Kareem, was Shaq. Trust me.
And at this, okay, so then the 6th man.
Oh, God, man. Like, I feel like this is hard because, like,
you could pick anybody.
No matter who I pick, I'm gonna get hated on the internet for it, because I'm not definitely gonna pick a certain someone at 6, because we already have too many guards and small forwards.
Right.
So,
you say yours first, I'll say mine second.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You gotta pick. Okay. You got 5 seconds. You gotta pick. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh my gosh.
1.
I don't know.
I'm going with Isaiah.
Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah.
You know what? If that's the case, I will go with. Oh my gosh. I'll go with Charles Barkley.
Okay. Like, all right, fight us. You know what? In the comment section below, give us your 6.
Yeah.
How about that? See if it's better than ours.
Or if you can't think about your 6, tell us why our 6 is wrong.
Yeah, why not?
Or who in our 6 is wrong.
Yeah, we love getting those comments.
Right. But yeah, I mean, like, I think who's the captain of that team? On my team, it's got to be Kareem. I would say the age caps it as. He's an honorary captain. That's a cop-out. Yes, it is.
I'm going Magic on mine.
Yeah, because I was going to say either that or Magic.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but then again,
you should give, like, I almost feel like you should give it to Jordan, but I'm saying Magic. I feel like, considering what you said about him rookie season playing all 5 positions.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah,
that's
leadership.
Yeah.
And I know all my haters out there are gonna comment about how much of a Kobe hater I am, and I'm not a Kobe hater. I love Kobe.
Yeah.
I always say, is Derek Jeter the greatest Yankee of all time? If you can truly tell me yes, then I will hear your argument on why Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time.
There you go. Well, all right.
But if you can't even tell me, if you can't say yes to that, then don't start on me.
I think that's a note we should end on. So, yeah. Okay, so I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe,
Comment below.
please. This has been Secondhand Sports, and we'll see you next time. Oh, I'm Paulo Camacho, Macho Sports Report. This is David D.K. Kim from KDVS. We'll see you later.